All right, hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mack. Welcome to the 8th episode of the Play Fast podcast. We got just me and Colby with us today. Colby, the man behind the camera, should have an interesting podcast for you today because it's a great time of year, especially in where we are located in Florida. You've got Players Championship coming up next weekend. I believe the PGA Tour will be here in town. You got March Madness coming up with NCAA basketball stuff. You got spring football for me coming up at the end of April. You got daylight savings time this Sunday, which means it'll stay lighter longer. So for those of you in the golf world like myself that want to improve and work on your golf game now, after practice or after weightlifting practice, or when I'm done with stuff here at 3:30 or 4 o'clock, I can get over to the golf course and still have 3.5 to 4 hours of light. And then all the local courses start up with Tuesday and Thursday night scrambles and a lot of other things going on. Got a member guest in New York coming up in the golf world in June at North Hempstead Country Club. So just a great time of year. The Masters is coming up in the golf world. WrestleMania is coming up in the wrestling world. And then you got, as we get into spring and summer, you got a lot of music festivals, a lot of things going on. So interesting time of year and exciting for me. Probably my borderline one or two favorite times of the year outside of summer and being able to be off a little bit and relax and do some family stuff in the summer. So I want to get started. The beginning of this podcast, we're going to talk about some business things, and I'm going to talk to Mr. Grant about all these different business ventures that he has gotten into, and I want him to be able to explain to me what they are and where they came from. So the first thing you started was a tutoring business.
Yeah, so actually, I was on Facebook today, and I was going through and clearing all my notifications, and I didn't know I started it in 2017. And like all the reviews are, Mr. Grant did this, Colby's a great person, like the tutoring's awesome. And like thinking about it now is kind of like, you just like kind of like what you did. You kind of just start and you just kind of trust the process. And I kind of like going back and looking back at it and seeing how far I've come.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know when you start. It's getting something off the ground is the hardest part. Taking an idea and making it into a reality and turning something into a business and everything that you got to do with that is the hardest part. But when you're doing it, you really probably have no idea what you're doing. You just kind of go and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, and it's kind of like now I don't, like lately I forgot, like I remember I tutored, but then like I kind of forgot that I actually really did tutor that much to even get to the point where I'm at. So the tutoring thing kind of just came up kind of just to get extra money.
Yeah.
Like most teachers get extra jobs,
Yeah.
work at Best Buy or something like that, and I was like, I don't want to do that, and I saw another teacher doing it. So I started tutoring, and my mom just said, you should start a business. I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. It's too much work. And here we are today, Grant Tutoring. So
you start your first business, you start Grant Tutoring. Next thing you know, you get to Orange Park.
I meet you.
Well, you don't meet me. You've already played for me in a previous time at a different school.
But
so you come in and we start talking about doing website stuff. And then another former player of mine and friend of yours, we get in and we start doing some website stuff before he moves on from his teaching and coaching career into a different field. So then you start looking at, all right, we're going to start doing this website stuff, and you're doing behind-the-scenes editing and video stuff. And all of a sudden you start thinking to yourself, well, maybe I can start doing some other stuff. So then you start with Grant Visuals.
Actually, yeah. Well, because when I came here in 9th grade, I already took like a Photoshop class, and I've done like editing for just like random stuff. And then when I started doing it for you in that first video that I made for you at Dome Hats, I was like, oh, this is way better than I expected it to be. And then like if you follow my Instagram, which probably none of you guys do, but if you do, Pablo Grant, you'll go on there and it's just like a big pot of chili. Like there's just so much stuff, from videos from Awkwardly Surprising, videos from Jacksonville Entrepreneurs, pictures of me, pictures of my kids. And I've never been one that like puts stuff in a category. So I think I'm learning now, like I need to start categorizing. Is that even the right word?
Categorizing.
Yeah, I gotta say it slower. but like putting my stuff in different places, so people, if they want to go see it, they can. So the Grant visuals came up as I didn't want to Grant photography because I don't want it to be under one little umbrella, because I do edit videos, I do take pictures, I do edit photos, so I feel like that all falls under the same visual thing. So that's where I came up with that, because I didn't want it to be the same as just like another photographer just out there.
And it's the same, it's the same dilemma. You start off as a teacher, then you have a kid. And now that you have a kid, now it's like, okay, well, I have this day job that doesn't pay me enough money, but I have my benefits and my insurance and all the things that I need, and I need to do something else. So you get out there and you start working and saying, well, what else is it that I really do? Do I want to get a regular job, a second job, or do I want to take some things that I might be decent at and see if I can, mold some of those things into a second career, or, it's about maximizing revenue streams, creating more revenue streams, and trying to figure out a way on top of your salary that you make every day, because you have to come to work every day and you have to teach how to find a way to get more revenue streams. So when you first started doing the other podcast, Awkwardly Surprising, what was the reasoning behind that podcast?
I think when I first started that one, it was one of those like, I just wanted to have a podcast. So, and I knew who I wanted to have it with. And I didn't know what direction I wanted to go in. And you're always one that's like, you gotta have an audience, you gotta know where your target audience is. And at that time, I was just like, I'll just be myself, talk about whatever. And then obviously the more episodes I get, it's kind of like, okay, I really don't have a topic. So the guy I started off with, he got really busy with his job, so he had to leave. So then it was kind of like the next couple episodes were just random people. So then I hooked up with one of my other teachers that I used to work with, and everybody was like, oh, you guys are golden. You got to stick with him. So then I had Mr. Bird. So me and him...
But you're basically doing a podcast about nothing.
At that time, when I first started...
Just talking about topics. It's not about... Yeah, kind of just like... It's not about any one-driven focus. It's just things that you guys... in everyday, I would consider it a podcast like a Seinfeld episode. You guys were kind of talking about things that happen in everyday life. You both have kids now, and you're teaching.
At the time, we didn't have kids.
At the time, but now you both.
Yeah, now we do. So
you only had a couple episodes out before you both didn't have kids.
Yeah, and so like we wanted to kind of do the teaching kind of.
I feel like it started in that direction. I feel like you guys are doing a podcast, and a lot of your topics were about teaching and some things that go on in teaching, and then it kind of branched off into other ideas from there.
Yeah, so now like the majority of our podcast is teaching and kind of parenthood, and kind of just like Mr. Bird likes finding these weird kind of topics about parenting or how to handle your child. Like this last episode, my brother sent me a YouTube video about free-range parents and strict parents, and like which one are you? He wasn't on this episode, but I mean that's kind of like what we talk about, and how in teaching and with us, our parenting and teaching kind of goes hand in hand.
So you do a podcast just because you want to do a podcast, and you really don't know what your audience is going to be or who it's going to be, and you start doing it and figure out how to do podcasts. Once you figure it out, you tell me that we should do podcasts, and I always thought it would be a good idea. My problem is mine's a little bit different. My audience was built around one specific thing. The people that know me from that specific thing, and my concern was always how many people in my audience care that I play golf, care what music I listen to, care that I watch wrestling. It's it's one of those things where it wasn't a lack of things to talk about. It wasn't worried about doing a podcast. I was just worried, are the people that follow me with Play Fast Football are probably football coaches, and they're probably following me because they want football information. Do they really want anything else? Do they care what I'm doing in my personal life? Do they care what I'm doing with my golf game? Do they care what I think about wrestling? Do they care what I think about music or any other topics? And so for me, it was kind of the opposite. It wasn't about an audience. I had an audience. I didn't know if my audience listened to podcasts. I didn't know if they would. But I was never worried about generating an audience because I already had my following. I had my following on YouTube. I had my following on Twitter. I had the different places and people that I knew would or could be an audience. And then, you're always trying to draw other people in. And I think that was your comment all the time. Well, you should do videos on this or that. And I was always like, well, I have people on YouTube that follow me for a reason. They probably won't be into those things. And you said, well, start another YouTube channel. I said, well, I don't know if I want to start another YouTube channel because...
Yeah, it is a lot of work.
Well, it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of organization and it's a lot of ideas and creating content. And football's every day for me, dealing with football and skills and drills and positions and techniques and X's and O's and fundamentals. That's every day for me, so the content was not an issue. Golf would have been an easy one because that's my number one hobby and my number one go-to outside of, my family when I'm doing anything. If it's not family or football, it's going to be golf. So I knew I could create content on that. I knew I was knowledgeable about the subject. I knew that I could, if I wanted to, I could get on camera and not embarrass myself with a golf club in my hand. So, that one was easy, but I didn't really know if anybody out there would want to watch me do anything with golf because the people my audience is my audience.
Yeah, but I think, as I said, that obviously, like, starting a new YouTube is a lot of work, essentially. But even coming on here, you're pretty much just sitting here talking about all the stuff you like.
Yeah.
And that gives people another insight of who Coach Mack is. Yeah,
but the difference is when you're looking at it from a business perspective, you don't know, A, if there's anybody that cares anything else about Coach Mack, and B, you don't know how many people out there, want to hear what else you do, because if you've developed an audience and a following, and you've developed it on a certain subject, that's kind of your bread and butter. You developed an audience over that subject, so you just keep giving them that subject. Trying to figure out whether people want anything else from Coach Mack is the interesting part. And the good thing about the podcast is, if it hits or it doesn't hit, to me it really doesn't matter because this isn't as much of a business venture as Play Fast Football was. Play Fast Football became a business venture, and then it became a clinic venture, and in the future it's probably going to become a camp and clinic venture and some other things. So I wasn't really worried about the podcast being a business venture, although you just now started another podcast. All right, and you're now doing a podcast called Jacksonville Entrepreneurs.
Yes, Jacksonville Entrepreneurs. So this one, me and this girl, she's a photographer. Me and her husband has been real good friends. We played flag football, and she's taken my newborn pictures and everything. And I know she's very determined. And I told her, I think during the Georgia-Florida game, at that time, I was like, we have to do something together. I don't know what it is, but we have to get started with something because, like, me and you think the same way. And then finally we just came up with, like, I was listening to some Gary Vee content. That's that one guy that we used to hang out, that's his favorite person. And he was like, just make it simple. Make it about something around your area.
Right.
And I was like, we're both entrepreneurs. We live in Jacksonville. So why not talk about our journey as entrepreneurs and have people on, like, such as you or other people just doing stuff that where they started, were they confident doing it, and just where they are right now or where do they want to be at.
But now it changes because instead of doing a podcast on random things just to do a podcast, now all of a sudden you're doing one and you're looking for sponsors and airtime and trying to get businesses out there. And now you're approaching it from a business venture.
Yes.
This is now, hey, we have this podcast called Jacksonville Entrepreneurs. I own a tutoring company and I'm trying to get into editing, photography, whatever you want to label it. She has a photography company or whatever she does. So we're business owners in our own right. We live in Jacksonville. We're now doing this Jacksonville Entrepreneur podcast. But I noticed on the last podcast that you did that you're now posting things about 60 seconds of airtime and get your business on the air. So now this becomes a business venture. This isn't, let's just sit down and talk about parenting issues and school issues and anything that we think is funny or entertaining. Now this is like we have a plan.
Yeah.
And you know what you're trying to do, and now you're trying to develop an audience so that you can go back, because the hardest thing in this field, and I've now done it for the last 2 years, the digital marketing world or digital advertising world, the hardest thing is convincing businesses that you have an audience that you can generate eyes and interest to a product. Because when you're talking about advertising or marketing, companies that don't have mega budgets to advertise or market on the radio, TV commercials, billboards, things like that, they have to take their money and try to advertise or market in different ways. So digital advertising between YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and things like that becomes an avenue that smaller businesses a lot of times can go down. You as the advertiser, okay, or the marketer, you have to convince people why they should invest. So when you're telling somebody right now, get 60 seconds of airtime on a Jacksonville Entrepreneur, podcast, first thing they're probably going to ask is, okay, how many people listen?
Well, the first, like her idea was, okay, for the first couple of weeks, I think 5 weeks, anybody that messages us first and say, hey, I'd love that, like, put us out there, like, it'll be free.
Right.
So that kind of gives the buzz.
Yeah.
Hopefully, like, they'll tell their friends, oh, you should listen to this. I even, like, today, or next episode, we're actually having the person that we sponsored last week. He's going to come on, he has a lawn service. So he's just going to pretty much talk about his business, which
right.
hopefully will get our name out to kind of his audience or his customers, or he'll share it on his Facebook and say, hey, I was on this podcast, you should go check it out and learn more about my business.
Because I didn't start doing advertising or marketing stuff until 5 years after my YouTube channel was kind of around, and I had a hard time at that point trying to figure out what the selling point is, because you got to have numbers, you got to have demographics, you got to have things that you want to give to people, because ultimately here's what you're doing. You're not the salesperson. You're the marketer, the advertiser. So you're just trying to get eyes to a product. So what you've got to be able to do is you got to be able to go in and convince people why they should use you. So for argument's sake, some of the smaller companies that I started doing business with, I had to convince them why they should do business with me, and I had to say, okay, here's my YouTube demographic. Here's how many subscribers I have. Here's what my average videos do. YouTube analytics makes it so easy, because you just go on your analytics and you see monthly, in the last 28 days, I can tell you how many views I've had, how many hours of watch time I have. So you kind of get, you get a little leverage in the market to be able to tell people, all right, look, here's why I think you should use us. Here's what I'm going to be able to do. I'm going to put your product out there in front of this many people, and you can guarantee that, if I give you a shout out on every YouTube video that I do, you can guarantee that, through the analytics, that those videos get 39,000 views, they get 5,000 hours of watch time. Then you throw in there your Twitter demographic and what you do on Sunday night, what I do on Sunday night Twitter chats, and then my ability to retweet and like and do different things to get it out there.
And you communicate with everybody that messages you as well. So
yeah, I try to stay. If you like my personal Twitter that I have 7,500 followers, but I follow 7,000 people.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where if you're not a high school player or a female, I probably will follow you back. If you're a coach or somebody who likes football and you follow me, I'll follow you back, because I never thought of myself as a celebrity. I never thought of myself as worrying about who I follow and anything like that. And then when people DM me, if they DM me something about football or YouTube, I respond all the time. So that side of it is kind of easy to me. It's just who I am and how I do things. But you're trying to convince people in the business world, because, like I said, ultimately you had a tutoring business, and then you started doing editing for me, and then started putting together grant visuals through editing and photography, and then you started another podcast maybe to get more eyes onto who you are and what you want to do, and then you get into another podcast that is an entrepreneurial podcast. And the bottom line is, as a teacher, you're trying to generate revenue streams like we talked about early.
And one thing is people see that I'm doing all this stuff and like, oh, well, how's he going to give all this time to teaching? Like, I love teaching.
Yeah.
Like, I'm usually always at work.
Yeah, but I think the one thing that people don't understand in the teaching world, outside of, maybe lesson planning and grading stuff or whatever, in high school where we're at, we get out at 1:40. So if you're organized and you have your stuff done and you have a planning period and you have the ability to get stuff done and you're not coaching a sport, you're off the campus by 2:45.
Yeah.
Let alone do you want to find other revenue streams and make money, but shoot, you better find something to do, because what are you going to do if you get off at 2:45?
And you just go home.
So
and it's like using your time wisely. Like, if you have a planning period or your lunch period, I can eat and still do something.
Yeah.
I don't just have to sit there and eat my lunch and be like, all right, I'm gonna eat my lunch. Or if I'm planning and I don't have anything to plan or all my stuff is graded, I can work on something maybe for you and for me. I can do something. So it's not like I'm just wasting those 45 minutes. And I think that's what some people think is they'll become teachers and they'll just sit there and like, I'm not making any money, but I have to grade it. And some people aren't organized, I guess. That's kind of where we're going at it.
Well, but now the point that we're going to get to is you have to have the ability in the business world to be able to focus on something without too many, irons in the fire. You want multiple revenue streams as a teacher or a business person. You want to diversify your product, but at the same time, when you're starting things off, you've got to get one thing set, which you have your tutoring business, which is kind of set. So obviously you're always looking to grow that and get bigger, but that's kind of set in motion. And now you're getting into the visual, the editing, and the photography, and you want to do multiple things. You want to put yourself out there with the ability to do multiple things, but at the same time, you got to also find an area of focus to go, all right, where am I really going to put all my time and effort into? Because if you do too many, then you just end up doing everything half-assed.
And I think that, like, even with the editing and the videos, like, I did that before, so it's not something that's just, like, randomly came in my head and I was like, oh, I'm going to start taking pictures. Like, I used to already do that.
It's the same thing for me. I have limited time that I can do other things as a football coach. When I had 2 kids and I started realizing that, with my wife being a teacher, I started realizing that we weren't going to make enough money to be able to raise our kids and let our kids do the things that they want to do. And so you start thinking about other ways to make money. Well, for me, the easiest way was to continue to do something that I'm passionate about, because if you do something that you're not passionate about, you're probably not going to do very well.
Yeah.
So, for me, it was, all right, I'm going to do these football things. I had no idea where it would go, what it would, and I don't know if any business does. I don't know if Bill Gates did. I don't know if Steve Jobs did. I don't know if any of those guys, I don't know if Ford did or Chevy. I don't know if anybody knew. They had an idea, they had a plan, they had a passion, but I don't know if any of them knew where it was going. So, for me, it was the same thing. It's like, all right, I got to find more ways to make money. I can't go out and get a second job because I don't have time as a football coach. What else can I do? So I started doing things that I was passionate about. And, when you had already edited stuff, you're already good with computers, kind of how to use iMovie, and then you got yourself into some other products. And, and then when the podcast came about, it was real easy for you to figure out how to record the podcast. And then when we started doing webinars, it was real easy for you to figure out how to use the software and the platforms that we were using to do webinars, and then Zoom meetings and everything else. And, it's easy when you like doing stuff like that and you have a functionality in those areas. It's easy to do, and then figure out that, hey, maybe I can make this into something else.
Yeah.
So,
And I think, even with you, it's kind of like you took that chance. And I think that's kind of like how I am. Like, everybody says, like, if you go on Instagram and YouTube, you watch all these people, they're like, you should try as many businesses as possible at 20. It's like, well, I'm 30. Well, I'm about to turn 31. And I started pretty much all my stuff at 30. You were not 20 when you started your YouTube. But you still, you were like, hey, I have to figure it out.
I didn't start any of it until I was 40.
Yeah, see?
I had no desire to be a business owner. I was a football coach. That's what I was my entire life. It's the only job I've held as a teacher and a football coach in my adult life post-college. It's the only job I've ever had, and it was the only job I was ever going to do. But what it was economically figuring out a way to say, okay, now you're married, now you have a family, now you have kids, you have a mortgage, you have other things. Yeah, it's great that you have this job that you love, but that job that you love isn't providing enough, so you got to find ways to do other things. Yeah. So for me, like the podcast, for me, if I could advertise on a podcast and people wanted to say, hey, I want to be a sponsor of the podcast, yeah, it'd be great. If the podcast had enough numbers on Spotify or iTunes, and we've already talked about this in previous episodes. I have a vision in my mind that the first 10 to 15 podcasts are going to be me and either you or maybe other guys' business. We interviewed my buddy Martin Aftuck, who's principal. We had Jeff Whitaker from Dome on. I knew what my first 10 or 15 were going to be, and then I also knew the direction after that. After that, it was going to be doing podcasts in the football world or the golf world and talking to coaches out there and interviewing them and figuring out how to get it recorded and how we want to do it. and then doing some stuff with golf. So I knew what I was going to do, and I knew that the first 10, 15 episodes were going to be kind of trial and error, see what people like, see what they don't like, see what they want me to talk more about. Because there's people out there that would like me to do a podcast like this, and since we're now shooting this podcast in the office where I shoot my videos, there's people who would like to see me do a podcast. And even though most of the time you listen to a podcast while you're driving somewhere, or you're on the treadmill or doing something, we video our podcasts and we put them up on our Patreon site as an extra perk to the members of our Patreon site. So there's a lot of people who said, hey, when you're doing your podcasts and you're videotaping them, why don't you just do whiteboard stuff? And well, I do that on YouTube already.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do that. I just wanted a platform, which was kind of an open mic for me to get on there and be able to give my opinion on everything and talk.
Yeah. And as I said, and we talked about that too, like you talking and then going on the board, but it's kind of like, just do that for YouTube.
Yeah, I already do it for YouTube,
Yeah,
so I'm not going to do it for a podcast.
And
to me, a podcast is more about taking ideas from other people, and if they have questions that they want me to address or topics they want me to address, or going out and interviewing other people. I've already mentioned that, in the future, probably by episode 15 or so, when I'm comfortable enough, I want to interview guys from across the country and different people that are doing podcasts. I want to interview people in the football world. I want to interview maybe some college guys or some bigger names if I can get them on the hook. And then I want to go into the golf world and interview some people, that are in the golf world. And I also want to interview business owners, because now, as a small business owner, that's another passion of mine, is how do you continue to grow your business? How do you get your business bigger? What are you going to do? What avenues are you going to go? And for me, the first venture was advertising, digital marketing. We started a website, and my buddy who owns Dome Hats, Jeff Whitaker, told me, he said, in your field, you're doing things to generate money. The guys that you're talking to probably don't have money either, so to get them to subscribe to a website might be tough. If you're going to do something, do it for $5 a month. Do it cheap. Don't worry about how many, memberships you get. Just do it, because you want to do it and see how many people you get. He said, but here's what you should really do. And what we did last year, we partnered up and did an advertising deal for a year. And he said, all right, here's what I want to do. I want to work for a year, and I want you to advertise for us on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram, and we'll see how many leads we get and what we do from there. He said, but here's what you ought to do. With YouTube, sorry guys, that's actually the bell. We're in sixth period. I have planning. Colby's not working today, so we're not slacking off on our job. I've already taught my full 5 periods today. So that bell's going to ring again in 5 minutes. But, he said what you should do is you should get companies that need advertising help. And whether it's brands that you wear, like Dome hats, like this Rydell hat is a Dome hat, or you wear somebody's shirt, or you wear somebody's pants, he said you should have people market through you on YouTube, and don't worry about making money off of other coaches that probably don't have money just like you. Make money off of businesses that need to advertise and maybe don't have $1 million advertising budget, but they can put $3,000 a year into your product and get it out there.
Yeah, and I think, and we talked about this, and you're not a fan of asking for money.
No, I've never been. I'm not good at it.
And I mean, you don't. Yeah, there's really no way, just because it's kind of like, it's that awkward conversation, because you don't know, like, even with me when I started tutoring, I didn't know how much to charge.
Right.
And it's kind of like, I want to charge, like, a little and say, well, I'm doing this, but, I should be getting paid more. But you don't want to overcharge and you don't get anybody.
Well, it's the same thing when I started. When we got ready to do a clinic and we got ready to start asking people to sponsor and vendors and other things, and we were talking to a hotel, which was a very nice hotel in St. Augustine, and the biggest thing in the business world is, where is your leverage? What is your leverage on the market? What can you do to people to say, hey, here's what I'm going to provide, here's what I can do, here's what I have. You go into a hotel never doing a clinic before, you can't really bargain with the hotel to say, I didn't even know how many people were going to come.
Yeah.
Well, now after we've done all that, now you have leverage to say, all right, guys, look, here's my YouTube demographic, here's my analytics, here's my Twitter demographic, here's my followers, here's what I do, here's how I do it, and here's how many rooms. Like next year when we go back to the hotel, it's, hey, we booked 50 rooms on Friday and Saturday night in January at a oceanfront hotel in St. Augustine. So, you're now able to go back to the hotel and say, hey, I don't know if you're going to book all those rooms out in January. We booked 50 of them at this rate. So now you have leverage a little bit with the hotel. Now when you're talking about, just like you said with tutoring, how much do you charge? Well, I don't know what other companies charge. I don't know what I'm worth. I don't know how good I am at it. then you start doing it and you get clients and you find out how good you are and what's going on and what other people are doing. Now you have some leverage to say, hey, here's what I do, here's what these other companies charge, here's what I charge, here's what you get from me. And now that's what business is all about.
Yeah, it's also obviously, as you said, is learning what your competitors are doing, but also not like I don't talk down about any of the other two.
Yeah,
I just say like what they do and how I'm different.
That's why guys like all the time, guys start YouTube channels and you know, I'll get a shout out on Twitter or somewhere saying, hey, thanks, you inspired me, I started my own channel. And you know, people think that like, you know, maybe you should be frustrated or it's competition or it's whatever. It's like, no, the YouTube platform, the way it is, go out and do your thing. Start your own channel. You know, I'm not worried about how big somebody else's channel gets. I'm not worried about if they pass my channel or anything else. I have my channel, I have what I do, I have my subscribers and my followers, and I'm going to keep doing what I do. And, you know, it's not a competition thing in that regard. You know, I don't feel like somebody starting their YouTube channel is going to put me out of business.
Yeah, and I feel like just always supporting someone that's doing even if it's the same thing. Like I had a girl, she sent me an email, and I thought she was a parent, but she was a lady that I think just graduated UF, and she was like, hey, you know, I have some questions about starting a tutoring business. Like I've seen your website, I've seen your Facebook, like I've seen you grow. Like, can you help me? And I could easily said no. Like I don't want competition, even though you're in Gainesville. But my thing is like, why? Why not share stuff that I'm still learning with someone else and just and I told her, I was like, if you have any other questions, like text me. And I was like, I'm still learning as I go.
Yeah.
So she can move to where we are. I would still help her.
Yeah.
Like it's supporting people.
It's just, you know, the business world becomes so cutthroat and everybody thinks everything's so competitive and whatnot. And where I am with YouTube and everything else, it's not like that at all. It's not, you know, I don't feel anybody's cutting in on my time or anybody's cutting in on my demographic on the market. There's people, you know, football coaches want to get different opinions. They want to go to different people. They want to hear and see different things. So, I mean, you know, but it's also exciting at the same time to hear people say, hey, been watching your channel for a while, decided to start my own. And, you know, it's pretty cool when people say
everybody has a different perspective on football and on what they do that you might have something different. Yes, you could say the grandfather of of football on YouTube, but it's also like with me, I watch a lot of YouTube of different people who do like video reviews. I'll watch one guy, I'm like, oh, I like him, but then I'll watch someone else to see their point of view of it as well. Because I might not agree with him, but I'll agree with Joey over there. So, I mean, I think always telling people, hey, just start. It doesn't matter how old you are. Like, we started late, you started way later.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Just set up a camera, walk in, and just talk about what you like.
And just do whatever it is for you. You know, there's some people out there that editing is great for them, and they want to provide these great videos with high production quality and everything else. If that's you, then go do it. You know, if you're somebody like me who just walks out in front of a camera and says, look, it's not about my production skills, my editing skills. It's about the knowledge I'm going to provide and how I provide it. It's about the energy that I provide and the passion that I provide. Everybody's got their niche. You got to find what your niche is.
Yeah,
and you got to find what your niche is in the market.
Yeah, and not getting discouraged, like how you said the video editing. Like I can go on YouTube and I can watch all these people's video edits and say, mine's not even close.
Yes, it doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter. Like some people aren't looking for that high quality of editing.
The other thing you got to figure out too is, especially like from the YouTube side, the people that do really well on YouTube with a lot of things are people that have figured out the analytics of YouTube. They figured out the click rates, they figured out thumbnails, they figured out topics, they figured out ways to get people to engage, how long those people need to engage, and then they turned it into something that they now know is you know, an algorithm for YouTube, and they've got it mastered now, and that's how they do it. You know, the topics that you're talking about, though, also, you know, for me, you know, it's one of those deals where in the golf world, yeah, go up and see what it is. For me, in the golf world, it's one of those deals where I have a lot of different YouTubers in the golf world that I watch. And I watch their channels, and I watch them for entertainment value. I watch them for educational purposes, whatever it may be. But people in the golf world are going to have 300,000 subscribers, 500,000 subscribers, 700,000 subscribers. People in the economic world are going to have over 1 million subscribers because they're talking about topics that many people want to hear about. They're talking about things that there is a wider scope of an audience with a larger demographic, so they're going to have more subscribers, they're going to have more followers. Football is going to get kind of cornered to where at some point you're going to run out of subscribers and things because, you've got a topic that is so specific to somebody. I'm not talking about fantasy football. I'm not talking about NFL football or football statistics. I'm talking about X's and O's and schematics that somebody would probably have to be a coach, want to be a coach, or be a player to listen to. So, I know what works for me. I haven't cracked the YouTube algorithms by any means, but I know what works for me. I know how many videos a week or a month work for me. I know the topics that work for me. But the best people on YouTube, they haven't figured out.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that you could say that some people are like, well, YouTube was easier to get subscribers back when. I guess back when you started, but as they do like the crazy stuff, like jumping in pools from a house and people, oh my god, I gotta watch that. So a lot of people start off as like doing crazy stuff just to get the subscribers, and then kind of figure out what they want. But
yeah, it's just tough from that standpoint because if people subscribe for that thing, and then once you get subscribers, you stop doing all that. Well, if that's the reason they subscribe, you're not going to retain them.
Yeah.
So you got to keep finding ways to retain them.
Yeah, and doing a lot of people do multiple things. Like there's a YouTuber that has multiple channels, but some people have just different playlists of what they do. So it's just pretty much figuring out what you want. Like, you don't need, as I told you before, like you could have all like an overlay pictures on top of you talking and all that fun stuff, but that's not Coach Mac.
Yeah, so, segueing into the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to start doing on these podcasts, I'm going to start answering questions and texts and emails and other things. So one of the first things I'm going to do, I got 2 specific questions coming to me about golf. And then I've got a question that involves golf and music. So first one is somebody sent me a message and asked me, in a member guest tournament, when I'm a guest of one of the members, when you walked out to the first tee, if you had a walkout song. So, like in baseball or softball, when you walk up to the plate. UFC, boxing, your entrance in wrestling.
You're going to hate me for this. I had an entrance song for my wedding.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Do you know what it was? You know what it is.
Hey, knock if you buck.
Close. John Cena.
Yeah. I get it. I've seen a million people get married to Ric Flair's music.
I saw that too.
First time as a couple, you walk down. I get all that.
I was like, I need some input in this wedding, and I was like, let's walk out John Cena. She was like,
but this is more like a walkout song. If you were walking, I could see that if you were walking up to the plate as a hitter and using a wrestling theme or whatever.
But if I could change it, I would pick Bobby. What is his name? Glorious.
Bobby Roode.
Yes, I love that song.
Yeah, Glorious is good.
Yeah, I would, if I can go back, I would.
Now I'd be different if I was wrestling and creating a wrestling entrance. I'd have one created for me by either a band that I like or something created for me, or and then I would produce it from there. But as far as just choosing a song, you're going to set the tone and you want to get in somebody's head. So I'm coming out to Seek and Destroy from Metallica.
I could see that.
I know it's not a golf thing, and I know it's not going to be physical, and I'm not going to intimidate somebody on the first tee. But if I'm going out, this is what Seek and Destroy.
It'll get you pumped.
Yeah, it's not so much golf's not the game that I need to be jacked up to play like football used to be. But I'm just coming out. Here's the message: Seek and Destroy. That's what I'm going out to do.
God.
Any competition, that's what I'm going out to do. I'm not going to intimidate anybody.
You're like I'm going to intimidate anybody.
But I think what I'm going to do in my next member guest is I'm going to do like Deontay Wilder. I'm going to come out to the first tee with like 50 pounds of gear on, and as if I play like shit, I'm just going to tell people I have too much gear on. That's my new thing now.
You said he looked
everything. He looked like one of the dudes from The Masked Singer, but everything I do in my life, I'm going to come out with like a 50-pound costume on, and if I suck at it, I'm just going to tell people it was because of the costume.
Wear ankle weights.
Hey, you made a bogey on the first hole while my legs were heavy from the costume.
Yeah, I'm wearing ankle weights.
Hey, you called terrible plays on the sideline. Well, I had this costume on, and
I got really pumped, and I put on a costume for my kids, and get them out. Now I'm just tired.
Here's what's funny about that though. weeks before that, he was on ESPN or another show talking about how he was training wearing a 50-pound vest. So you talk about training wearing a 50-pound vest, but then you say a 40-pound costume dead in your legs, and that's why you got your ass whipped.
And he tried it on the night before. So he should have known, like, hey, this is kind of heavy.
He should just come in like Mike Tyson with no socks, boots, and just walk in. Welcome to the Terradome, whatever your entrance is. I get it, but
I heard he's doing his rematch, and I heard a lot of people think it's a bad idea.
no, I think it's a bad idea for the champ. I don't think it's a bad idea for him.
I heard it's a lot of bad idea for Wilder.
I don't think so.
Because they're saying that since Tyson Fury took his hardest hit, because obviously the second fight he kind of went in at Wilder, and he was like, I know I can handle his hardest hit, so he's never had anybody attack him.
Yeah, but he now knows that. He now knows that, and he's
gonna get trained by. He's supposed to get trained by Mayweather. So
we'll see. Who cares either way? I'm not a big boxing guy. I think it was okay, but you get your ass whipped, you get whipped. It is what it is. You're a great fighter. I couldn't box any of those guys. Obviously, I'm not saying that I could do different, better. What I'm saying is, I've competed my whole life in multiple sports. Played 2 sports in college. Football coach. Get your ass whipped. You got your ass whipped. Just own up. I don't need an excuse. I don't need a story. I don't need about your costume. You got your ass whipped.
Kept saying, I'm not trying to make an excuse, but
right. So you got your ass whipped. Yeah. So I'm walking out to seek and destroy. That's number one. Second question I was asked is if you had a dream Champions Tour foursome, which is the over 50 tour. I'm going to be 50 in 2 years. So if I could ever qualify for a Champions Tour event at 50 years old and I had a dream foursome, I'm going to have to play with John Daly just because of the character that he is and who he is and what the character that he's been in golf. I'm going to play with Bernhard Langer because he's dominated, in my opinion, the Champions Tour for the last 8 to 10 years. And then the last spot's going to be a tough choice between Ernie Els or Fred Couples just because the tempo, the swings, the style of both players, I'd be hard pressed to say I love Ernie Els, I love the Big Easy, I love Fred Couples. So it's going to be Bernhard Langer, John Daly, and Fred Couples or Ernie Els. I'm not decided yet. Now, a better question is, and I've heard this question asked to millions of people, like a dream foursome of anybody you could play golf with.
I didn't know anybody you just named. I was looking for Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson.
Well, they're not on the Champions Tour.
No, that's why. I think I asked that last time. You're like, yeah, they don't do that. But that's what I was looking for. I had no idea who you were talking about.
But it's not going to be, what's your dream foursome going to be? John Cena, DMX, and...
Classic. John Cena, The Rock, Stone Cold.
Well, this is golf we're talking about, buddy. So we're talking about playing with golfers.
No, I know, but,
So
my golf knowledge is very under par.
All right, and then, let me get to where...
Was that a pun?
What?
As in my golf knowledge is very under par.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, it's like a pun. All right, so we've got an event. We've got a chance to play Medina and Olympia Fields and then go to a concert at Wrigley. And they want me to rate my top 3 in preference. Zac Brown Band, Guns N' Roses, Lady Gaga, Def Leppard and Motley Crue, Green Day, Fall Out Boy, Weezer, Maroon 5, Dead and Company.
Alright, so I know Maroon 5, Green Day, Lady Gaga, Zac Brown Band, kind of. They have some good songs. Rank them?
Well, they want my top 3, so if I was to go to the Chicago area and we're gonna play golf at these 2 amazing tracks, Medina and Olympia Fields, it's gonna be set up as a vacation in the summer. All right, and it's a buddy of mine, it's a friend of mine, and he said we're going to play golf at those 2 places, and then we're going to go to a concert at Wrigley Field. He said if you had to give a preference of your top 3, so obviously if you're going to go to this concert at Wrigley Field and there's 3 of them,
who do you want to hear?
Correct.
Well, I'm only going to pick the ones that I know.
You don't know any of them.
I know like 5. I know 4 of them. So I could pick a top 3. All right, so we have Lady Gaga. Name the ones that I know. You know which ones I know.
Green Day probably.
I know Green Day.
Maroon 5.
I know Maroon 5.
Lady Gaga.
And are they performing any songs?
Guns N' Roses.
Definitely not going to listen to Guns N' Roses.
What do you mean any songs? They're performing what they perform.
No, I know, but like, are they doing a specific album? Do I get to pick the songs that they perform?
No, when you're going to a concert, do you get to tell a guy what they play?
We don't know when because they have new music. Like, what if it's like late
This summer.
this summer? I'd like to go see a Lady Gaga concert. Just some good music. Now two more. Maroon 5 has some hits. And I would say Zac Brown Band because I think Kylie likes Zac Brown Band.
Okay. I am all about entertainment value. I'm not about hits. I'm not about. I'm
I gotta know the song.
I'm about entertainment value. So, as you go down the list, saw Guns N' Roses in 1991 at an outdoor concert in the Meadowlands in New Jersey, opening for Metallica. I've already seen them live. I've seen Def Leppard live, and I've seen Motley Crue live. Motley Crue more than once. At this point right now, I don't want to see Def Leppard or Motley Crue because neither one of them can do what they used to do 30 years ago in their glory when I was in my glory, and I've already seen them, so I'm not going there. Green Day, Fall Out Boy, Weezer does absolutely zero for me, so I will not be there.
I've been to a punk rock concert.
No chance in heck.
I think I'd put them in Zac Brown Band.
I think Lady Gaga's going first because I think as a performer and an entertainer and a singer, I think she is out of this world.
Yes.
Would it be something that I listen to in my car? Probably not. As a performer, an entertainer, and a singer, I think she is amazing.
Yes.
All right. If Sia was on the list, I would pick Sia number one. I think Sia is one of the best singers on the planet, period, hands down.
I think I know who that
I wouldn't
is.
mind seeing Adele possibly in concert because I think she's one of the best singers around.
She is good. All of her songs are
I
so
wouldn't mind
depressing,
seeing
though.
Pink in concert because Pink is a phenomenal performer and she can sing.
What about Beyonce?
I'm not going to see Beyonce.
She's a great singer and a great performer.
She's a decent performer. She in her time, she was a pretty good singer. I'll give her that.
Okay. Who
I'm
else?
not going to see Beyonce. Zac Brown Band is a must. Not my style again, but Zac Brown. I've seen Zac Brown Band cover Metallica songs and different rock songs and different things, so I know how talented they are. Zac Brown Band is a must. The third for me would come down to seeing Guns N' Roses again 30 years later or Maroon 5 because I think Adam Levine is a tremendous performer.
You gotta pick Maroon 5.
I think he's a great talent. So for me as a show, those are things that I would like to see.
I still can't believe you don't think Beyonce's a good performer.
No, Beyonce's a good performer. I don't think she's a great performer. Now listen, if I want to go see Sia and Adele, they're gonna stand and sing.
Oh yeah.
So they're not gonna be shaking anything, dancing around. They're not gonna they're not gonna have production. They're gonna sing and they're gonna sing like motherfucker.
Yeah, they are.
So that's what I'm into.
Okay.
Like I like people that can sing. So I like voices. I like
Lady Gaga has that.
Lady
voice.
Gaga can do it all. She will
might be-
perform.
might
She'll
be
put on a
weird,
great show.
But she has.
She'll
that
perform.
range.
She'll put on a great show, and she can sing. She has got pipes
Yes,
for days.
She does.
Sia has pipes like nobody's business.
I want to say my mom used to listen to her back in the day.
I don't know. She ain't been around that long.
Then we might be talking about the same different person.
Yeah, you're talking about a different person. She's only been around 10, 15 years.
Who else can sing that you probably don't think?
Oh, there's a ton out there, and people disagree on singing all the time. So probably a lot of people out there who don't think the people that I think can sing, and they think there's other people that can sing. But music's an interesting one when you go, especially if you go with different people, because even in a group of guys I hang out with, our tastes are so different. So if we go to a bar somewhere and there's a jukebox on and we all put music on, every one of us is going to rush to skip the other person's songs. And then at some point, every one of us would play something and the other person would be like, "You played this?" "Yeah, I played it."
Yeah.
You know, like not many people would think that I'm going to play a Sia song. Or not many people would think that I'm going to play a Michael Jackson song. I'm going to play.
Michael Jackson is loved by everybody, though.
Yeah, but love him or hate him, he's may go down as the best performer of all time.
He should go down as.
Maybe.
Who would be up there with him?
I imagine at some point if you got a chance to see Elvis or James Brown or...
Okay. Got a good point there. But could you say that James Brown kind of passed the torch to him?
Maybe. But Michael Jackson was bigger than that, in my opinion. But,
Oh, yeah. Michael Jackson could literally just stand there and people would faint.
yeah, but he never ever just stood anywhere.
Oh, yeah. When he first came on stage, though.
Yeah.
He would, like, I forgot where it was. They showed him, like, he did his jump up, and he just stood there, like a minute. People were just passing
He's
out.
selling. He's selling the show. Everybody's got how they open their show and how they start their show. And
Maybe he was the inventor of selling.
no, that's not selling that you're thinking
I
of.
know.
Speaking of which, WrestleMania is coming up. What are you looking forward to?
Are we going?
I am not going,
Even if I got tickets?
even if you got tickets. I cannot do 9 hours. There is no chance in
Dude,
heck.
just go at like 9.
No. If I were to go, I got to do the whole experience. I got to be there for everything.
Okay, so if it comes, before we answer that, if it comes to Jacksonville, are you going to go?
I'll think about it.
I feel like if you don't go to the
I'm also not in right now. I'm not in the disposable income market to spend $500 to $1,000 on a ticket for anything.
What if I got it for free?
If we got it for free and it was in Jacksonville, I'd think about going.
Okay.
Now let's get back to the main point.
Okay. Am I excited? I am. Let me pull it up.
You're excited because Cena's going to be there. I get it.
I'm not really excited about the match.
Why? They've got a history together.
No, I know, but it just...
Bray Wyatt can go a little bit. Cena can carry him.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I know they can go. I mean, I'm always excited to see a Cena match. Because you really never know, like, what he's going to bring. Because, I mean, obviously we know he's older. He hasn't been in the ring. But we know he's working. He's getting better. Or he's improving on everything. And he's probably going to bring
Until the point that he's past his physical capabilities of what he can do, he's going to go every time he's in the ring, whether you love him or you hate him, he's going to perform. He's going to put on a good match if he's in there with the right person. I am not a John Cena fan personally, but I'm not going to argue what he does.
Yeah. I'm excited for him, but I'm always excited for a Brock Lesnar match as well. Just because
Yeah, but I need
now
a match.
they're... Huh?
I need a match. I don't need a Brock Lesnar showing. And he's in better shape now. He's cardiovascularly, he's better, he looks good. Let him go 20 minutes with Drew McIntyre or 15 minutes.
I feel like they are.
Let him go 15 to 20 minutes with Drew McIntyre. Put the belt on McIntyre. There's your baby face to run the company, and let's go.
I like that match too. Who else? We have Reigns and Goldberg. I told you that I like the match.
The problem is it's not going to go longer than 8 or 10 minutes because I don't know if Goldberg can. So I don't think you're going to get out of it.
But we're not going to get that. They're going to get in the ring. Someone's going to get speared, and then it's over.
No, I don't think you'll get that. But it's going to be somewhere along those lines because there's not much else they can do. But you'll get the strap on Reigns, and you'll move forward with hopefully your 2 titles being on people that wrestle all the time.
And then who else do we have?
AJ Styles, Undertaker will be good.
Yeah.
AJ Styles can carry anybody in the world. Undertaker has enough pride left in him to put on a match. So AJ Styles, Undertaker, 10 to 12 years ago, that would have been the Shawn Michaels Undertaker is what it would have been.
Ah. You're
'Cause
right.
AJ Styles is the
Yeah.
man. He's that good.
You are. Is AJ Styles like to you as John Cena is to me?
No. That's Sting. That's Sting for me.
Okay. Well, currently, right now.
No, I don't have anybody like that currently.
Okay. I thought it was either him or the guy from AEW.
Kenny Omega.
Yeah, but you said.
I just talk about talent. Real recognizes real, Cole.
Man.
That's the bottom line. So
Sometimes it's like that.
AJ Styles is one of the best in the world. Kenny Omega is one of the best in the world, unquestionably, no doubt about it.
What do you think about the Randy Orton angle?
Great.
Now he's gonna fight Edge.
Yeah.
Right? Edge is.
Edge is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, and they have history too.
They have great history.
My thing is, I hope they don't.
Give me some of these WrestleMania matches that have a build, psychology, history. I don't need one-offs. I don't need.
I think it'll be a good match. I'm just afraid that it might be cut short.
they're all going to get cut short because if you got 19 matches and a 9-hour show, you can't put on 45-minute barn burners.
Well, usually if you're first, no one's going to see it, but you'll get the most time.
That's why a lot of times they put their best matches on first, the ones that are going to go.
Yeah.
The ones that they're going to let go and perform, they'll put on first, because the other ones that are going to be 8 to 12 minutes because that's all they can do.
Because I think Brock Lesnar was first last year.
Yeah, but there's reasons behind all that.
No, I know that, but they still kind of, I think it was, if I can remember, it was a good.
WrestleMania shouldn't matter. I know main eventing is main eventing, but first or last at WrestleMania shouldn't matter. You're wrestling in front of 98,000 people to 100,000 people, biggest wrestling event of all time. Go first, go last, jerk the curtain, main event, shouldn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're there. What do you think about, what about
The possible best match on the card might be Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley.
As I said.
Unless they do that at NXT TakeOver.
Why would they do?
Because it's for the NXT belt.
You're right. You're right.
There's a lot of hardcore wrestling fans who say that the NXT TakeOver shows the last 3 years have been better than the actual WrestleManias. So they're going to wrestle in a hockey arena down there somewhere, and the NXT show is going to have Velveteen Dream versus Adam Cole, and it's going to have possibly wherever the Charlotte Ripley match goes. But that weekend, that'll be one of the best matches on the card. Velveteen Dream, Adam Cole will be one of the best matches on the card. 100%.
And they probably don't want to waste that match either.
No, but
I mean, as I said, it is WrestleMania. Charlotte Flair already has told. They haven't really said where they're putting it, have they?
they might have. I haven't. The last couple weeks, I actually haven't. I've had things going on where I haven't been able to fully tune in. I've been watching YouTube and reading dirt sheets and doing other things to stay in the loop of what's been happening, but I haven't really watched. So I'm pretty sure it's WrestleMania because Charlotte Flair had a chance to choose her opponent at WrestleMania when she won, and she came out and did the angle where she chose Rhea Ripley, which was great because nobody wants to see any other angle anymore.
Yeah, because all other.
So that match will be, and then get the belt off Becky. I don't care who takes it. I don't care who wins. Get the belt off of her, and whatever the direction with her is going to be, so be it.
How do you like Bailey?
Bailey is okay. I think there's other people out there that.
Do you like her new?
Yeah, she had to do it. She had no choice. Can't wear your hair on a ponytail and be that character at 30 years old or for the rest of your life. So I think she made a good choice. I think it was a good move. So.
Yeah, if I had to pick one match to watch. Surprisingly, I wouldn't pick the Cena match. I might have to say. I think it'll be the Brock Lesnar match, just because in my head I know he's gonna lose, but every time I think he's gonna lose, he doesn't lose.
Oh, here's what's gonna happen that I know for a fact. All right, WrestleMania will be a good show. Yes. People out there will hate it. People out there will critique it. People out there will bash it. It will be a good show. They never cease to entertain. There'll be matches that you don't like and matches that you don't like how they go. There'll be bookings that you don't like. But that's what the WWE is now. The WWE is now the pinnacle of pointing your finger at what you don't like and complaining about it.
And now you have something to compare it to now.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go down that road because I think the way people compare the two is idiotic.
No, I know. I'm just saying. People.
I love the fact that there's another alternative out there. I love the fact that there's some guys that I actually like performing there. But I love the fact for those people that don't fit in WWE, there's a place out there to make money and make a living doing what you love doing. I hate the fact that you can knock the WWE for everything that it stands for and everything that it is and the booking and the shit and this and that. And then as soon as somebody from WWE goes to that program, they're an instant star. So you get ready. Luke Harper's going to debut in AEW anytime soon. If Luke Harper was pushed with the Bludgeon Brothers, with Eric Rowan, that push didn't go anywhere. People don't buy it.
Yeah.
Luke Harper had different roles. I think he's a good athlete. I think he's a good wrestler. But there's nothing about him that sells. There's nothing about him that draws. He's a mid-card guy, probably through and through. Great guy to have on a roster, a great worker, but he's not. As soon as he debuts in AEW, he's going to be larger than life. I don't know if he'll be in the championship mix or whatever, but he'll be larger than life because he came for the WWE. But yet, if Luke Harper was in the main event at WrestleMania, people would go through the roof about how bad that is.
Yes.
But yet, when he goes to AEW, he's going to be a star.
Because they're like, oh, now you're free. Now you can do whatever you want now. Like, no chains on you. Like, go to AEW. Be your own person.
Everybody knows me, and we've talked about it before on here. I'm a huge Chris Jericho fan. I think Chris Jericho is one of the best to ever do it, best to ever lace up the boots. He cannot go anywhere near the way he used to go at his age now and at the shape he's in. His match with Moxley was horrible. Horrible.
Now,
Chris Jericho is at a point now where he is still one of the best on the mic. His vignettes, his everything he does, social media, how he uses his band Fozzy. The fact that he walks out to his own song and people sing it as he walks out is absolutely amazing. Still one of my favorites, still one of the best to this day. Physically, he can't go anymore. People are going to complain about the Goldberg Fiend match and that Goldberg can't jackhammer the Fiend and this, that, and the other thing. Watch Jericho and Moxley in that match. Jericho can't really do the things he used to do anymore, and Moxley never could anyways.
Some people might think you're biased because they know you don't like him.
Well, they know I don't like Moxley.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But it has nothing to do with that. I love Chris Jericho. I'm a Chris Jericho mark. I've always been.
Yeah.
But I'm also a realist. He can't go anymore at 48 years old or whatever the way he used to. He's 60 pounds heavier than he used to be. He can't do the things he used to do.
He needs to get on that DDP yoga.
But he's still great for what he does, just not that.
Yeah.
And then you put him in there with another guy, in my opinion, it's mediocre, and that's what you get. But it's not WWE, so people love it.
Yeah, and they can
They
shed
end the show the other night with a triple shield power bomb on John Moxley from Jericho's people, and instead of a fist bump, they all put their hands in together and flip him the bird and give him the middle finger. People on Twitter thought it was the best thing that's ever happened. The WWE is shit. Everything about it's shit, but you constantly mock what they do.
Yeah.
So you got to take the Shield power bomb and do it to Moxley, who was a member of the Shield, obviously as Dean Ambrose. But if the WWE is that bad, why are you doing anything that they do?
To show them that they can do it better.
Whatever. I don't know.
No, I mean...
I have no problem with don't get me wrong, I have no problem with AEW. I have a problem with fans.
Yeah.
I have problems with wrestling pundits and fans and people that talk about things that constantly contradict themselves. This is boring in WWE, but it's good in AEW. This guy sucked in WWE, or he was mid-card in WWE, but he's great. Jack Swagger's a big-time player in wrestling.
Is he?
Well, he's a big part of the inner circle with the AEW. He's like the hitman of the inner circle. Now Jack Hager, or whatever his name is.
We the people.
Yeah, that's what he was in WWE.
It's the same thing. Isn't it just it's like a Walmart brand.
You bring Matt Hardy over and a deleted, broken version of Matt Hardy to WWE, it never really takes off, it never really does anything, but if it goes to AEW, it's going to be great. Yeah, he'll have creative freedom, and yes, it's a great character, and yes, he's a genius at what he does, but, if there's things that don't get pushed or marketed in a WWE, there's a reason. It either doesn't sell or it doesn't. Now, there are some things that they do that Vince throws up in your face to say, I'm going to do this anyways. Yeah, I get it, but he's also the ultimate businessman, so he has an idea what works.
Yeah.
So if there's certain things he's not doing, either it won't work or they don't think it'll work.
Plus, I mean, it's his brand. Like, he needs to do what works for the WWE.
Look at it this way. Watch any NXT show, and any wrestling fan out there will put it up there with everything AEW does and any other show. They have the ability to put on those shows when they want to. It's not like they don't have the ability. It's not like all their programs. People just don't like their main programs because, to me, yes, there are some questionable things they do. Yes, there's some bad booking. Yes, there's been some bad matches and storylines and other things. I get it. But that's every wrestling company. You can't watch an AEW show for 2 hours and tell me all the matches are good. Now, you'll have marks out there that hate the WWE and love anything that isn't WWE that'll tell you all the matches are good. You can't tell me that.
Now, I know you probably have a lot of people who follow wrestling in general. Now, when AEW is on Wednesday, do you see a lot of people not bashing anything? They're just like, oh my God, great match.
There are several people, well, no, there's a lot of people who turned it on. AEW had somebody advertised to debut this week, and they didn't advertise. And they didn't debut. So there were some people that were mad and upset about that. And there's other people that said, I don't care, the show was still great. If WWE did that, if WWE advertised
burn that place down to the ground. Burn it down.
And then even when they have just an average show that's either pushing some storylines along or it's a filler show after a big pay-per-view event, there's still just people that get on there and go, this show was amazing. This show was unbelievable. This show was this. No, it wasn't.
It's kind of like...
no, it wasn't.
It's kind of like the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, which I don't know how they're going to do that now because SmackDown's supposedly the main show.
They ought to just get away with every brand and just, this is WWE. They might be there on Monday. They might be there on Friday. They might be there on Wednesday.
But
They created the brand split. Who cares? People get so bent up out of shape about the brand split. He's a SmackDown guy. He's a wild card. He's a Raw guy. It's their company. They created the brand split.
Yeah.
If I created the brand split, I'll put a wrestler whatever damn night I want to put him on.
Exactly.
I created the brand split.
And I mean, as I said, like some people watch WrestleMania, but they're like, oh, I mean, Monday Night Raw after show. I mean, after WrestleMania is always better. It's kind of like all they're doing is really just introducing people. Like they're not really doing a match. I mean, you'll have some people that will get their rematch the night after, but they always, as you said, they always try to find something to complain about.
Yes.
They'll
And
find
they're always
one-
going to.
They'll find one little match and say, oh, that match sucked. I'm just gonna wait until Raw tomorrow.
Yeah, so
Obviously,
my deal is not with wrestling. I love what AEW is doing. I love what WWE is doing. I was a WCW fan back in the day, more so than WWE. So I don't have a problem with wrestling. I have a problem with wrestling pundits, wrestling fans, people that are hypocritical in the way they judge different things. Everybody's got an opinion. Be a fan. Watch what you want. Like who you want. I don't care. But don't be a hypocrite.
Yeah.
I try not to be. I know sometimes I can be with, I'll say that I may like somebody and then I don't like somebody else and they're kind of the same thing. Like,
But people have an option to change their opinion, but some people are just like, WWE sucks, AEW's always better, kind of thing. And it's kind of like, it's not.
well, anybody that's going to try and, anybody that's going to try and rate the shows every week and do whatever, give your opinion, rate the shows, rate the matches, do whatever you want. I just don't see it as the same when people rate a certain show a certain way, but then if that show was with another company, and I would say the same thing if it was WWE. If WWE had something, and AEW or TNA or New Japan had something, and it was the same thing, I would say, well, heck, it's the same thing, but you just say that because you mark out for WWE or you like WWE. I'm not biased to any of them. I don't make money off any of them.
Yeah. But I
And
mean,
I have things in WWE that I hate. Everybody knows I hate The Miz.
and you hate Daniel Bryan.
I'm not a Daniel Bryan fan. I'm not a Miz fan. Everybody knows that. Everybody gets it. So it's not that I'm pro WWE or whatever else. I just hate when people are hypocritical.
I still think The Miz gets some good promos.
Whatever. I'm just not into him. I've never been into him. I don't like him. I've never liked him.
His matches might not be the best, but when him and Daniel Bryan...
As I end this podcast, though, here's what I will tell you. MJF, who's a Long Island guy like myself, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, AEW, the best heel in wrestling today. Bar none. Now, here's another, as I get ready to end this podcast, here's another hypocritical deal. Jake the Snake Roberts comes out at 64 years old, cuts a promo. The promo was good. Jake the Snake's always been good on the mic. Everybody on Twitter and in the wrestling world said it was this revolutionary promo. A, he could barely breathe. All right? He was having a hard time breathing in between breaths. B, he has a hard time talking into the mic because he's got some voice issues and some other things. God bless the guy for being alive. God bless the guy for being healthy and hopefully sober again. I loved him as a character in the WWE. I have nothing wrong with Jake the Snake. I saw nothing in the promo that made me go. But listen, Bully Ray and multiple wrestlers said that's a promo. That's how promos should be cut. They do it for a living, so obviously it had to be pretty good. I saw nothing in it and went, wow, that's a great promo.
But do you think they're doing it to build his confidence because maybe
Yeah.
he was in a bad
But here's the
place?
deal. He's going to be a manager, and he's got a client coming that he's selling. So don't bring Goldberg back. Now, Jake the Snake's not wrestling, I get it, okay? Don't bring Goldberg back or Undertaker back or Shawn Michaels. Don't bring anybody back to take spotlight and time away from younger guys. But bring a 64-year-old and give him 4 minutes of ring time and airtime on a 2-hour show.
I just see him tweeting stuff about it. I didn't really read it. I just kind of...
Heck, at one of their shows a couple months ago, the Rock and Roll Express were in there wrestling in the ring. Don't take away from younger guys. Don't take away their spotlight. But yet, when the Rock and Roll Express wrestle in a match with the Young Bucks in AEW, it's cool. Which it is cool because I was a Rock and Roll Express fan too. But don't go both ways.
Yeah.
If you can't have older guys stealing spotlight in WWE, you can't have them stealing spotlights anyway.
But do you think they're only saying that because, like, the older guys for WWE is only coming back from WrestleMania?
Well, no, they come back for one-offs here and there, and then when they can't wrestle, I get it. The Goldberg match was not good. I'm not saying it was good. I get it. When The Undertaker can't go because he physically can't go, whatever, I get it. They're 50-something, 60 years old. I understand it. Don't let another promotion do it and say that it's cool or okay. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So, like, the picture I sent you, they should have had, like, Chris Jericho's face on it. The one where they're doing yoga. It was, like, Brock Lesnar.
So, DDP? Yeah, DDP also does work with... DDP also does work with AEW. So
Yeah. I'm pretty sure all the older people are like, well, I need to get back in the ring. AEW will just give me.
Well, it's good money.
Yeah.
It's good money.
So.
All right, so covered a lot of things. Obviously, looking forward to the Masters coming up. Don't know how healthy Tiger's going to be, so I don't know if how much noise Tiger's going to make.
Are you going to the PGA Tour?
I won't. I'm not going to the Players. I used to go with my wife all the
Players.
time before we had kids. So I've been to the Players Championship at Sawgrass, but I probably won't go this year. That again comes down to disposable income, time, other things. But Masters coming up, March Madness coming up, a lot of things coming up. I appreciate every one of you guys listening. Hopefully you enjoy the podcast. Send me messages on Twitter or Instagram or YouTube about questions for the next podcast we do in 2 weeks. Let us know anything you want to talk about. Let us know if you want to have something answered on a podcast. I appreciate all of you for listening. I appreciate all of you for what you've done for Play Fast Football. Remember, you don't play well until you play fast. For me and Colby and his ventures, Awkwardly Surprising Podcast, Jacksonville Entrepreneur Podcast, Grant Visual, Grant Tutoring.
Follow
We'll catch you guys.
on Twitter.
Follow him on. Follow Pablo Grant on Twitter. We'll catch you guys next time.